Welcome to the Daily Decameron, tales to connect us in troubled times.
Dico adunque che pervenne la mortifera pestilenza, la quale, alquanti anni davanti, nelle parti orientali, incominciata, quelle d'innumerabile
In those
quantità
days,
di
a deadly
viventi,
plague appeared. It came from the Far East, where, having taken countless lives, it spread from place to place until it reached the West. Its virulence was the more terrible because it spread from the sick to the healthy, just as a flame consumes dry wood or oil. Its evil was spread not only through speech and contact with the sick, but by touching their clothing or anything they might have touched. Some, seeing that there was no medicine more effective than flight, left behind their houses, their estates, their relatives, and all their possessions, and sought refuge in the countryside. So begins Giovanni Boccaccio's Decameron, a work he began writing in 1349, when the bubonic plague was ravaging Europe. Boccaccio would change the art of storytelling forever, and his message has never resonated more deeply than it does today. Boccaccio's prescription for surviving a plague, when medicine and science were powerless in the face of its devastation, was simple. Seek refuge with loved ones and share stories, music, dance, and long walks in the sunshine to keep your spirits up. It's no exaggeration to suggest that he was among the first to espouse what we now call sheltering in place. In the Decameron, he imagines 10 young Florentines who flee the city and retreat to a villa in the Tuscan countryside, where, to pass the time, they tell each other their favorite tales, 10 a night for 10 nights. Some racy, some romantic, some violent, some offering life lessons, and all entertaining, immersing the reader in the lives, loves, conflicts, and tribulations of nobles and peasants, nuns, priests, monks, and merchants of 14th century Italy, in a series of vivid miniatures. Unlike the allegorical writing of the Middle Ages, that drew on stock characters and stereotypes as stand-ins for moral principles and ideas, Boccaccio's storytelling is gritty, vivid, and unflinchingly human. Writing in the midst of the worst pandemic the world has ever known, he took greater risks and infused his prose with a kind of power the world had not yet seen. This was a new kind of realism, inclining less toward the moral and more toward the mortal, an approach that helped set the stage for the humanism of the Renaissance. What Boccaccio showed the world remains just as true and just as relevant today. Spinning stories, creating connection, and taking time to look not only into darkness, but also into light, is medicine for the soul. And in that spirit, we're sharing a few of Boccaccio's best-loved tales, read in the original Italian and in an abridged and deliberately freewheeling English version, intended to capture for the listener the flavor of these stories, without rendering them word for word. Even if you don't speak Italian, we invite you to enjoy the Italian versions, read by masterful narrators from all over Italy. You'll hear the beauty of their regional accents and the dancing musicality of Boccaccio's mesmerizing writing. His medieval Florentine can be challenging even for Italians, but whether you understand some of the words or none at all, you can't help but hear the gutsy, wry voice of a poet who loved and celebrated the sound of the spoken word. So much so that he chose to write his great masterpiece in the vernacular and in prose, at a time when Latin and verse were considered the only suitable ways to express important ideas in writing. We hope you enjoy listening to these tales, and, as you and the ones you love shelter in place, we hope they bring you the restorative power Boccaccio imbued them with more than 6 centuries ago, the power of storytelling to heal the heart and comfort the soul. The Daily Decameron is a production of the Italian Cultural Institute of San Francisco, Anna Maria Di Giorgio, director. This program was produced by Franca Cavallaro and edited by Enrica Cavalli, with music performed by John Sayles. The voice of Boccaccio was performed by Riccardo Tordoni. I'm your host and translator, Steve Siegelman. We hope you'll join us for more episodes in both English and Italian. Meanwhile, stay well, stay in touch, and share your favorite stories with the people you love.